Pew, pew. That was for you, Mr. Transformative. We were just talking about how silly, not silly. It's a great word. It's a wonderful word. And the only way we could think of it is I was pouring cereal this morning, and you ever misjudge the amount of cereal for the amount of milk that you have left? Because that only goes two ways. One, too much milk, cereal comes out of the bowl. Two, not enough milk, the cereal doesn't even move, and you know you're screwed. So you're like, oh, man. So then you start looking for other liquids. Like, what other liquids? What other liquids could I possibly use? Do you want to know what I chose? Ryan, you want to know?
Absolutely, I do.
Here's the choices. Let's see if you guys can guess it. The choices are V8 juice, protein shake, filtered water, cold filtered water. Don't mean, the intonation doesn't mean anything. Those things. Anybody want to guess?
It's got to be protein.
Wait. I didn't give you enough information. You might say, wait a minute, I can't make this decision without, you got to be a good analyst, right? You got to be a critical thinker. No one here asked what kind of cereal. I've taught you better than this. You can't make a decision. What if I had Fruit Loops? Well, then V8 would be the obvious answer. I didn't have Fruit Loops. I have Fruit Loops, but I didn't. Did you, Jim? Okay, Jim, you're the only one that asked the right question. So then, Tom, what up, brother? So then you say, okay, Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes, not enough milk. What was the other ingredient? Anyone? Dumpster juice. It tasted like dumpster juice when it was over with.
I'm going to guess protein shake. I got to guess protein shake.
We'll save it to the end. So today on AICI, American Institute for Cryptocurrency Investors, or crypto investors, or just people that want to get paid, bro. We're going to talk about some OpenSea insider trading action. Finally, someone gets indicted in crypto for pulling a shenanigan. Was it the biggest shenanigan? No, but it was a pretty good shenanigan, and he's been indicted. Good. We'll talk about that. Apple, like Apple, hinting at some NFTs, perhaps a game. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Ethereum merge preparation for the merge. Matter of fact, we'll tell you guys what the merge is so that you're not like, merge. And we will then go look at the markets. I'll give you a hint. Same as it has been for the last 7 months. Mostly red, mostly flat, nothing exciting. Best time to buy. And we kind of hit all the salient points. All right. Without further ado, unless Ryan, do you have any questions? Do people know what you look like? You got to come on screen so that the crypto community knows what you look like.
I like to think that they know what I look like. I've been here for a little while.
How much Bitcoin do you own?
0.
And where are your private keys? And can I have them?
No, you cannot have them. I knew that.
Yes.
I knew that.
Well played, sir. Well played. So do you want to take us in? Should we do some crypto headlinage? Let's
do some crypto headlinage. All right, first headline is going to be former head of product for OpenSea indicted after insider trading scandal. Ooh.
Yeah, so this guy was a real dick. There's no other cool way to say it. That's as sugar-coated as I can be. I mean, OpenSea, which we all know is not our favorite platform, but it's the only platform really that's doing any kind of volume in the NFT space. And so I'll just go through this. A grand jury has indicted former head of product at non-fungible token platform OpenSea. There's also not much open about OpenSea. It's not open source. It's not distributed, decentralized. It's not on a ledger. There's actually nothing open about OpenSea. But anyway, he's been indicted on wire fraud and money laundering charges after an insider trading scandal. And this kind of all came out several months ago on the Twitters. Nathaniel Chastain was arrested Wednesday morning in New York. He's slated for presentation in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. And listen, if you're in the crypto space and you think you're going to get indicted, it's going to come out of the Southern District. Yep, that's where it's going to come from. Southern District of New York. They're the ones taking everyone out, which, good. Thankfully, someone is. According to a Wednesday press release from the DOJ, Chastain was previously accused of using secret Ethereum wallets to purchase NFTs based on confidential information that they'd soon be featured on OpenSea. So basically, he knew what was about to happen. He knew what was going to be on the homepage because work for OpenSea. So he just bought the stuff in advance and sold into it. Of course, in like private wallets and whatever. Well, they're all private, but in wallets that didn't directly connect to him. So anyway, he was allegedly responsible for selecting which NFTs would be featured. Oh, so I guess that's how he knew what to buy. From about June 2021 to September 2021, so June, July, August, September, pretty big months in the NFT space, some of the biggest months. He sold these pieces for 2 to 5 times his initial purchase price shortly after the value jumped from a front page feature. Okay, so yeah, he didn't get rich off of this, but it's the fact that he was doing it. And also, this is just what we've caught. You can guarantee he did this on a much wider scale with other people participating. And those people either haven't been caught or maybe he snitched them to get his time down. Who knows? I can only assume that if he's a lightweight crypto dude that works at sketchy OpenSea, he grassed everyone up. Like, they didn't even have the cuffs on. He was like, he did it. He's involved. They're like, whoa, we're not here to talk about that. This is about parking tickets. He's like, I'll give you everything. This is bigger than whatever. Anyway, I'm going to put the system on trial. The actions were compared to front running and insider trading activities in which an individual profits off of non-public information. You cannot do that. Those of you that took your SIE, your Series 7, your 65, your 63, you understand. You cannot trade on non-public information unless you're Nancy Pelosi or her husband. Then I guess you can as much as you want, and it doesn't matter, which is weird. Anyway, those activities are prohibited in traditional financial markets, but it was unclear how the laws might apply to the NFT space. Law enforcement indicates those laws will apply, right? He's like, if it's a law, it's a law. It's weird that it does apply to us and not so much to them. Like, I guess, no, Kurt, snitches don't get stitches. What snitches get is their time cut. Snitches get to go home, actually. Snitches get like, I don't know, what's a word that rhymes with snitches but equals go home, get to eat, get to go on a book tour, like whatever that is. Snitches get riches? What?
Oh, I like that.
Snitches get riches.
I like that.
NFTs might be new, but this type of financial crime and crime scheme is not, said U.S. Attorney Damian Williams in a statement. As alleged, Nathaniel Chastain betrayed OpenSea by using its confidential business information to make money for himself. Well, did he betray OpenSea? I don't know that he betrayed OpenSea. He was the one making the decision. He betrayed himself. I don't know. Today's charge demonstrates the commitment of this office to stamping out insider trading, except in Congress and Senate, where it occurs on the stock market or the blockchain, unless, of course, it's Nancy Pelosi. Right? Did we pretty much nail it? I think we nailed it. The FBI Assistant Director in Charge, Michael Driscoll, said the FBI will continue to aggressively pursue actors who choose to manipulate the market in this way, unless it's Nancy Pelosi. Okay. I think we nailed it. So, yeah. And the only real competition right now, as you guys know, to OpenSea is LooksRare. And while LooksRare is better in a lot of ways, it's just not meaningfully competing. And still, word to the wise, stay away from the token. It's not there yet, unless you're Nancy Pelosi. All right. Shall we move on? Should we talk some Apple?
We shall. Apple's upcoming developer conference sparks rumors of NFT trading cards. That sounds fun.
It does sound fun. And here's the one thing. I don't know what you guys think about Apple products, but to me, Apple is quality. So you have the whole Android ecosystem, which is cool, but everything's a little bit weak. Everything's a little bit not quite so good. Things break a little bit more. They look a little bit kind of less put together. Like maybe there was not a lot of, design consideration. And I don't know. It's just Samsung stuff is just kind of weak and kind of flimsy. Their apps, their phones are kind of plasticky and crap. But then you get Apple and it's like solid. You're like, dang, man, there's metal on this, metal and solid buttons that you press and like stuff. And they have beautiful videos. You go in their stores. You go in an Android store. It looks like a swap meet. Looks like a flea market. Looks like you need a tetanus shot. You go in an Apple store. You feel like you're getting healthier just by being there. Like if you had COVID when you entered an Apple store, like I always do, by the time you leave, you don't have it anymore. You've been cleansed of all that by their magic. So when they do stuff, when they release products, they're very thoughtful about it. And to me, that's important. So that being said, you may have had different. Ryan, what do you use? What's your phone of choice?
I have an iPhone as well. And I'm the same way. Like Android, it's just very plasticky, very like kind of cheapish, but you feel that iPhone is just very solid, very like just, it just feels clean and just feels expensive, honestly.
Like if I was on a plane and a terrorist took it over and I had my iPhone, I could be like, pew, pew, bam, boosh, and do like karate crap. And I'll like stick it in their neck like this. And I'll be like one of those moves Liam Neeson does. He's like, bam. And then your neck goes out the back of your head. Or like John Wick where he pulls your eye socket out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Exactly.
With an Android phone, you throw it at them and it hits them. And then they just like, they thank you. They're like, oh, thanks. I just need to wake up. And now I'm going to terrorist you or whatever I don't know what they say when they're going to do whatever they do. It's something about virgins, I guess. Anyway, Apple's upcoming developer conference sparks rumors of NFT trading cards. Interesting. So apparently at the World Developer Conference 2022, hosted by Apple, it will be between June 6th and June 10th. So what they do is they release a lot of the pre-information about these conferences. So we also should get information about the glasses that are coming, the AR VR glasses that Apple will have. I am quite interested in that as well. So at the developer conference, which will be June 6th through 10th, and features some of the leading experts and advocates within the tech field, in the lead up to the 33rd edition of the annual Worldwide Developer Conference, tech giant Apple unveiled plans to showcase developments on 4 new devices and software models: iOS 15, iPad iOS 15, Mac OS Monterey, and Watch OS 8, which is cool because what? I love Apple Watch. It's so cool. Alongside this, fanatical forums such as Mac Rumors, which they're pretty good. If you ever want to see what the new stuff is going to look like, go to Mac Rumors, and they have like all really cool kind of articles about, hey, this is coming, and they're usually pretty much on the money. Anyway, at Mac Rumors, which centers on coverage around supporting and debating Apple's progress, both technology and philosophically, they discovered that by clicking on the Memoji characters, an augmented reality mode is revealed with 3 trading card characters available to be claimed. The Memoji characters have become a consistent feature in Apple's consumer branding strategy over the last few years. And as the company recognized the cultural kind of affiliation for memes and mascot branding. Look, memes they are silly and cute and snarky and kind of funny, and they're definitely a part of our culture. So, Apple is probably looking at a lot more very interesting data from a different perspective than we are as developers. And perhaps they see some interesting uses. Imagine your own Memojis being turned into like NFTs and these tradable cards. You could trade with people. It could be all sorts of fun stuff there. At WWDC, these cards are expected to be positioned as Web 2 elements used solely for collectible purposes with no intrinsic or tradable value. Well, yeah, you have to say that, don't you? Otherwise, kind of looks like maybe a security something where no one knows. Right. And, if the NFTs are floating around in crypto nerdville, no one cares. If Apple releases a host of NFTs, a suite of NFTs, whatever, a series, you better believe people are going to be taking a look and seeing, oh, can we go after? Listen, Apple was part of the 450 something page report. Apple, I believe it was Apple, Google, Facebook. It was one other company. And they absolutely fit the profile of a monopoly. Like, that was the report. It was 450 pages from really smart people saying Apple's a monopoly, Facebook is a monopoly, Google is a monopoly. And I think there was one other company, and I don't even want to speculate what it was, but this was not like 2 paragraphs. It's 450 something pages. And did it go anywhere or lead to anything? Well, no. However, in the same way that when Facebook said we're going to release Diem, we're basically going to become a giant retail bank, everybody in the world was like, "What? No way, man!" Yes, it was Amazon. Dog, you are correct. It was Amazon. The whole world was like, "No way, this is terrible." They're going to do the same thing. So I think Apple, because they're a company that's very, they consider things right before they just launch them. They don't just spew out product. So my guess is they're saying, listen, we have to be very careful. This doesn't look like some kind of weird security thing, whatever. We don't want NFT legislation being brought because of what Apple did. So my guess is they're going to be very careful about this. They are going to be, any trading that would occur will not occur on Apple rails, so to speak. It will require you extricating, freeing your NFT. They probably won't even call it that. Who knows what they're going to call it? But it'll be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Anyway, on account of their visual similarity to the avatars of Studio's Clone X, the animated cards of V-Friends Series 2, the Easter egg feature has sparked some speculation within the non-fungible token community about the potential of future Apple NFTs that may be a little bit more traditional in the cryptocurrency space. During Apple's Q1 2022 earnings call, Tim Cook shared optimism for the societal adoption of augmented reality and metaverse technological kind of breakthroughs, outlining the company's intentions to invest accordingly in the emerging sector. Their mixed reality headset, so this is what I was talking about, offering both virtual and augmented functionalities, was slated to be released during the WWDC conference, but after experiencing technical setbacks in development, that prospect seems unlikely. Well, we hope we'll get some hints of the glasses. I've seen some kind of prototype pictures. It looks cool, but they're not there yet. They were originally thinking maybe this year these things were going to be released. They would release a dev kit. But if they're not going to release the SDK, or at least hint about releasing the developer kit at this WWDC, then it's unlikely that the glasses are going to release this year. So back to 2023 again. Although if you want to play with stuff like that, you can go play with the Oculus. Ryan, have you played with the Oculus? Have you messed with that?
I have not. I've wanted to for a long time, and they look like so much fun.
It's awesome. Anybody that Oculuses, if you to Oculus, I don't know if we've verbized. I don't know if we've made that a verb yet, but anybody that Oculuses, that plays the Oculus, I mean, if it's playing, I get on there every single day and play paintball for at least an hour. It's in the rec room. Get at me, bro. Get at me. All right. Shall we take a look at what's coming for Ethereum? We've been talking about the merge. We've been talking about proof of stake. We've been talking about this transition. Should we talk more about it?
Yeah, there's a merge ahead. Ethereum's dress rehearsal and a hiccup.
Does anybody know what a hiccup is?
Isn't it your lungs trying to get oxygen or something like that? Like they don't have the right amount.
Here's how you get oxygen. You go.
Yeah, but isn't that like a, I don't know. I thought
it's something to do with your diaphragm. I think it's something to do with your diaphragm, right? Like it's a response in the diaphragm. I don't know. And not that kind of diaphragm, the other one. But I know that if you hold your breath for 17 minutes, hiccups go away.
That's factual.
17 minutes. Turns out everything goes away. Oh, yeah. Hiccup. How Solana functions all the time. Oh, by the way, you guys heard Solana was shut off yesterday again. Because why not? Why would it not be shut off? 7 times now. 7 times the whole network is shut down since last November. Weird, huh? How man, anyway, forget Solana. We're not talking about Solana. We're talking about Ethereum. As Ethereum continues to lay the groundwork for its hotly anticipated transition to proof of stake, the network hit a major milestone on Tuesday with the launch of the Beacon chain on the Rothstein test network. Okay, so essentially what they try to do is they try to do all this stuff in a test environment, and then you'll test and you'll play with in kind of a sandboxy test environment that is active among all the validators. So basically, it's a test environment that everybody can play around in. And ideally, you work out all the kinks, and then you make whatever software adjustments you have to make. You push the final code, and then you roll it out. Now, the way that Ethereum works and the way that they do pushing of new code and transitions, and whether it's forward or backward compatible and all this, is not the lean, elegant way it works on Cardano. On Cardano, when they do a hard fork, you don't even know about it. Cardano just becomes better. It's just faster. It's just a little bit faster. It's not so easy with Ethereum. Again, you're going from an old proof of work system and you're transitioning to proof of stake. It's been likened to you're flying a Cessna and you're trying to just put on new wings and a jet engine while you're in flight, because you can't really stop. There's a lot of problems when your whole network stops, like, Solana and some of these other dummy networks. Anyway, the Beacon chain is a proof of stake network that runs in parallel with Ethereum's proof of work mainnet. It serves as a sort of practice area for Ethereum's upcoming shift in consensus mechanisms, which will see the two chains merge, hence the merge, right? The Beacon chain will merge and become a single proof of stake network, hence merge. Cool. So now you understand why it's called that. Developers expect the update to cut the network's energy usage by 99% and help Ethereum scale. True. You might ask, is that going to be awesome? Are the fees going to come down? No, not really. Not yet. That's probably in 2023 or 2024. They don't really like to talk about that part of it. By the most recent estimates from Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin, who I quite like. I think the guy is really cool. I think his heart is in the right place. I think maybe he got a little bit rich, a little bit arrogant, and a little bit lazy. But he's a good dude. He's a good thought leader in the crypto space, and his heart's in the right place. Anyway, the much delayed merge is now slated for sometime in August. Does anybody know, Ryan, do you know what sometime in August means when someone owes you money? It's like your uncle that you loaned all that money to. He said, Ryan, I'm going to pay you sometime in August. What do you think? Yeah, it means sometime
next year.
Yep. Yeah, RJ. Yeah, October. So probably September, October, November, or December of this year or next year. They've been promising this for so long. Anyway, Rothstein, Ethereum's longest running proof of work testnet, is used by developers looking to experiment with and test new smart contracts, right? So you test these things in a test environment. You don't just roll them out. That'd be silly. You blow up people's stuff. The whole move fast and break stuff thing, not so good when you're dealing with, billions or tens of billions or even the low hundreds of billions of dollars. No bueno. So with the launch of the proof of stake Beacon chain on Ethereum's oldest testnet, the stage is set for what Ethereum core developer Tim Bako is calling the merge's first dress rehearsal. Ooh, this is exciting. So within the next few weeks, Rothstein will undergo a merge identical to the one that will ultimately take place on Ethereum's main network. It will be followed by additional merges on Ethereum testnets. Should these tests succeed, and here's where it gets a little greasy. Should these tests succeed, they will be the best sign yet that the merge is, at long last, almost here. So like, if all these tests are successful, then it means the merge is still somewhere in the kind of unclear future. I don't know. I hope everybody probably that has some exposure to the infrastructure space has some Ethereum exposure. I would hope. We'll see. So, all right. Beacon chain hiccup did occur last week. We talked about this. There was a little reorganization issue. Let me talk about that because that's important. When you hear reorgs in crypto, it's not a good thing. Reorganization at your local PTA, good thing, right? Reorganization at church, if you go to church, that's probably a good thing. You know, that one guy that was a little handsy, get him out of there, and let's get that nicer fella in there. So reorganization can be good. City council, good. Crypto, nope, no, not so good, Ethereum may finally be in the home stretch for its race or jog towards the merge, but a security hiccup last week called a reorg briefly threw the network's preparedness into question. The incident didn't wind up having any serious consequences for users this time, but it highlighted the complexities that come from running a network without centralized control. See, that's like the difference in, say, a kind of a platform where you could just turn it off if you wanted to, like Stellana, is that when you have an actual, platform that has some level of decentralization, there's not just one dude with a button that can willy-nilly turn it off. If something can be turned off with a dude with a button, it's not decentralized. And it's the same old crap we already have. And that's the legacy financial system. We're trying to get away from that, at least partially away. Okay, so blockchains work by organizing transactions into a series of individual blocks, right? Just think of a little chunk of data. That's a block. The blocks are proposed to the network by a distributed community of workers, so-called miners, in the case of proof of work networks, or validators in the case of proof of stake networks. Beacon Chain is a proof of stake network, right? Cardano, proof of stake. If you go down the list, Polkadot, proof of stake, Matic, proof of stake, Near, Algorand, Cosmos, proof of stake, proof of stake, proof of stake. You're starting to see a pattern here. If enough workers come to the consensus that a given block, a little chunk of data, is valid, meaning it contains only legitimate transactions, that block is added to the chain. That's why you get that. That's why people call it a blockchain. It's a chain of blocks. Each block represents a chunk of data. It could be transactions or information that represent a certain amount of time. In this time frame, these transactions occurred, and then they're put into perpetuity, right? And eventually you have this long chain of blocks, blockchain. Okay, so that's how it's supposed to work. And the process is wash, rinse, repeat. Yes. Well, reorgs or reorganizations occur when some of a network's validators or miners hold a different view on which block was last added. For instance, you say, "Hey, Bob paid $6," and they say, "No, Bob didn't pay nothing. Not by my information." And so then you get into a sticky situation, which is usually handled by game theory. And sometimes you have longest chain, which wins. Like with Bitcoin, it's the longest chain of blocks that is assumed the most real, or the most true. Okay. This is why if over 33% of a network is Byzantine, evil, dirty, thwarted, confused, or like has malintentions, 33%, 34%, you can completely pervert the network. None of the blockchains, and this is math. This isn't like whimsy or speculation. None of the blockchains, not Bitcoin, not anybody, can withstand more than a 34% attack. Like that's enough to pervert and destroy through Byzantine actors, malicious actors, any of these networks. So just kind of understand it's not, you hear about 51% attack. It's actually like 33, 34%. It's actually 34%, right? And if you get just enough to be more than a third, you control a network. So it's important that mining and block validation, all this stuff is spread as far and wide as you can get it so that no one could wrest control of 34%, right? We don't want that. Anyway, so if some of the network's validators or miners hold a different view on which block was last added to the blockchain, That's a reorg. It leads to a situation where the network branches into two parallel chains, each adding new blocks in parallel with each other. So some nodes on the network think that this block is correct, and some nodes think that this block is correct. And they are not both right? Ethereum's recent reorganization took place on the Beacon chain, though users can stake Ethereum tokens to become validators on the Beacon chain. The chain won't process user transactions until it merges with Ethereum's mainnet. For this reason, the incident didn't have a significant impact. So the only reason it didn't nuke a bunch of people is because it's not running. It's not actually running on the mainnet. Had it been running on the mainnet, had this occurred a few months from now, after whatever August they do decide to roll this out, it would have been quite nasty, because I think it was a 7 block. Yeah, matter of fact, it was. So reorgs happen for a variety of reasons. In this case, some Beacon chain validators were using updated software that enabled them to process blocks faster than some of the other validators. So some, you were running a newer version of iOS than your partner was. You could upload things faster. Therefore, you were producing blocks of information a little bit faster than they were. So your list of history became different. That's kind of what this was. Ethereum's Beacon chain experienced a 7-block deep reorganization, which they referred to as a non-trivial event. Non-trivial. And this caused a split in the network, which is no bueno. This shows that the current attestation strategy of nodes should be reconsidered to hopefully result in a more stable chain. And there are plenty of proposals for this. There's a lot of very, very, very smart people working on this. It doesn't mean Ethereum is going to crash anytime soon. It just may mean that this might not roll out, as fast as we think. And this has been the problem. It's just not easy what they're trying to do. It's a massive switch going from proof of work, the consensus mechanism of proof of work, over to proof of stake. It's just a massive change for, arguably a technology that was a software that was, built by kind of a triumvirate of people, and 2 of those 3 people left, right? So in the beginning, you had Vitalik, you had Charles, and you had Gavin. Well, Charles booked it and created Cardano. Gavin booked it and created Polkadot. Vitalik stayed with this. Then they decided, hey, maybe proof of work's a good idea. Let's just do that. Cardano started, principled, peer-reviewed, hey, let's build this from the ground up and do it right. Polkadot, basically the same thing, only about halfway through, they realized that the research done over at Cardano made sense, and they decided to use their consensus mechanism, Ouroboros. So you already have 2 of the 3 people that left Ethereum kind of leaning towards what they're doing at Cardano. So like an alarm bell should be going, okay, 1, this is not easy. 2, maybe Cardano, maybe they have the right kind of mentality to move this thing forward. And they get made fun of all the time. Oh, you're never going to kill Ethereum because you move too slowly. Listen, if someone's building a network of many billions and billions of dollars, I want them to move slowly. Otherwise, we get the kind of things that happen with Luna. We don't want those things. Those are bad things. Anyway, so once validators came to an argument on which chain to follow, so now you have these 2 chains, right? It was business as usual. New blocks were issued onto the correct canonical chain, and any transactions that made their way onto the other chains were relegated to new blocks. So basically, they took all the other transactions that ended up in the weird chain, and they said, hey, those are wrong. Come back over here. We'll just throw those in where they are, time-wise correct. Anyway, so what's the big deal? No harm, no foul. Well, not exactly. Reorgs can be exploited by bad actors to engage in malicious activities like double spending, right? So like over here, you spent the money, but over here you didn't. So you invalidate the one where you spent the money, but you already got the stuff. Like imagine buying a car through some double spend attack. And then there's some reorganization. And then it turns out, oh, you never actually spent that money. Only you have a car. And the people that sold you the card no longer have the Ethereum. So you can see that could be bad. So double spending is bad. And there's also other things that malicious actors, Byzantine actors can do. They can lead to rejected transactions, which is a major user experience bummer, right? You buy the thing, it doesn't work, you don't get your coffee, they throw it on you, they make fun of you and laugh at you, and they have weird hair. Blockchain actively tries to avoid reorgs. Last week's Beacon Chain reorg was the longest Ethereum has experienced in years. That sentence should tell you that it was not the first or only reorg they've experienced. It was just the longest they've experienced recently. Thankfully, last week's reorg doesn't appear to have meant much for the Ethereum community in the long run. Had all validators updated their client software as recommended, as well as will be required at the time of the new merge, the one that's coming in the next few whenevers, the reorg kerfuffle wouldn't have taken place at all. So this was, as it looks, not all of the validators were running the new software, and you got a weirdness in between the non-new software running nodes and the software, the upgraded software running nodes, and that was the speed difference. So hopefully things should be fine. The incident did post a stark reminder of what's at stake should Ethereum merge go sideways. Be careful. Tread lightly. With so many participants expected to participate as validators on Ethereum's proof-of-stake chain, it also underscored the coordination challenges faced by Ethereum's core development team as it works to roll out an update to thousands of unique operators. Also, they're firing all the miners at the same time, right? Like if you spent tons of money buying mining rigs to mine Ethereum, and they're telling you, oh, by the way, here in a few months, we're booting you guys. We don't need you anymore. Hasta los huevos. You might not be super happy. So they're just be prepared for a little bit of wonkiness and some kind of surreptitious game theory coming. People are going to game this till the very last second. Should be kind of interesting. This is going to be a very exciting summer. Even if the markets are flat, you have all these upgrades coming in Cardano. You have all of these new parachains supposedly coming to Polkadot. You have the deals that are being tested on Matic. You have Instagram. You have eBay. So there's a lot of cool stuff going down. You have the same nothing coming out of Algorand because they don't feel like they need to communicate with us. But underneath the belly, they're doing all these deals with like central banks, things like that. So there's a lot going on. And between June, July, August, these 3 months, it's going to be some juicy bits, some quite juicy bits. Anyway, there's like an overview of all the validators and all this kind of stuff. As a quick recap, validation, do you care about the participation in these networks? Well, you just want big, giant, kind of communities that are growing. You want developers that are developing. You want people to be excited. And you can't have that if there's a lot of indecision. For instance, with and we can kind of roll this into the greater market discussion, I think. But if we were, if you're looking at the markets right now, Ryan, throw us up that market page. If you're looking at the markets right now, and you're asking yourself, okay, which projects can I trust? You probably look like put yourself. You're a banker now. Everybody put on your banking cap. Okay. I know you went to school in the 60s. Maybe there wasn't color TV yet, and you're steeped in Keynesian nonsense. But that's your DNA. So you worked your way up into the position of greatest incompetence. Congratulations. You work at a bank. And not everyone at a bank is incompetent. But the 1965ers, yes, they are. Okay, so you're in the bank and you're looking at this weird crypto space. Well, there's definitely some projects you will not work with. So just think how confusing it was when you guys got into crypto or as you're getting into the crypto space, how tricky it is and how weird it is and how it doesn't make sense most of the time and how you don't understand who's dirty, who's clean, which projects, this and that. But you know for a fact, well, Bitcoin, the uptime is pretty much infinite. It's never gone down. It's the biggest. it's the biggest honeypot in the world and no one's hacked it, perverted it, or stolen from it, right? That's pretty interesting. So you think, okay, that's solid, but can we build on Bitcoin? Not really. There's some arguments that the future will be built on Bitcoin. I think those arguments are pretty flawed in a variety of ways, well-intentioned, but very cognitively flawed. Will the world be built on Ethereum? Well, the NFT world and the scammy crypto companies of 2017, 2018 were certainly built on Ethereum. Is the team what it used to be at Ethereum? Not so much. 2/3 of the brain power left and started their own protocols. So maybe they're about to go through this big merge. They've been having some hiccups. It's not the first time. There's no guarantees. When is this thing going to launch? When is it going to be ready? Can I run a giant company on top? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe. But again, if you're a banker, got your banker's hat on, you guys can't deal in maybes. You can't go to your board of director and go, maybe it'll work. Maybe Vitalik will get it figured out when he's not giving speeches and stuff with his big head. He has a huge head. It's so enormous, his head. It's like South Park head. It's like, it's just so heavy because he has more brain than we do. So then you say, okay, well, we go down the list. Like, who could we trust? What's the uptime on Cardano? Well, permanent. What kind of, are they ready to roll out yet? Not quite yet. So we couldn't pull the trigger there. Okay, Polkadot. No, definitely not. They don't even have all their parachains aligned yet. We don't even know what their throughput is. We don't know what Gavin's doing over there other than smoking whatever he smokes. They party. The Polkadot dudes, the Substrate dudes, the Solidity dudes, they get baked. So you're like, man, maybe, but you can't go to your board with a maybe, right? So you're like, okay. Then you go, okay, well, Sheev, that's a dummy coin. No, Matic. Well, that's a strong maybe because you have some social proof. You have the stuff they were doing behind the scenes at OpenSea. You have the deal they have doing NFTs for Instagram that's in testing, that eBay switched from Tezos to Matic. That's very interesting. So you have some social proof. So Matic is in a very interesting position. A very tiny market cap, in my opinion. You say, okay, as a banker, you say, Matic's interesting, but doesn't have that cachet, doesn't have that name cachet. Near is solid, but it's not proven. It's not big enough yet. It's not even available. It's very hard to get. So it's kind of a maybe, but Coinbase Ventures, okay, it's a maybe. Algorand, it's probably a yes. Because, again, they're snooty, they're arrogant. Ryan, have you even heard of Algorand?
I have not.
A lot of people have not. A lot of people in the space don't even pay any attention. Silvio Macaulay, about 80%, maybe more, of Bitcoin, especially the white paper, was built off of research that he originated, either at his time or before or after at MIT. Silvio is a beast. The problem is they're too flipping arrogant. They don't feel that they need to communicate with people. I will say this. I know their head of marketing. Well, he claims to be their head of marketing. His name is Barry. He is clueless. He's a nice guy. He is clueless. He's cultish. He is the last thing, man. Barry, sorry, bro. You're the last thing they need as a marketer. If you're asking the public to give you money, you have to communicate with the public, bro. You can't be like, we think you plebeians are too stupid to understand the amazing things we're doing. Give us your currencies. No, man. So, but Algorand has this one thing. They have Silvio. And Silvio, he's connected. It's very likely that Silvio will out Ripple what Ripple was trying to do with XRP. They got their own problems, which we won't go into. But it's like if you look at all of these projects and you just keep going down the list, well, we've already kind of exhausted. Algorand is a legit project. It's just quiet. Now, this wasn't meant to be an Algorand sermon. This was just simply put your mind in the place of a banker and go through the list. And Algorand is the only one that makes sense. Now, do I think the brain power and the technology is just as good at Cardano, maybe better? Absolutely. Public outreach, communication? Absolutely. But they're a little slower to market. And Cardano is not competing with Algorand. And this is the beauty. Yes, they're both layer ones. Yes, they have some similar functionality, but they're not competing. There is a world in the future, the Web3 world, where all of these flourish in their own ways and do incredibly well. So, keep your eye on the A's, right? Algorand, ADA, Atom. That's part of our little A-bomb kind of portfolio. Algorand, Atom, ADA, Bitcoin, Matic, the BOM, and then DOT to some extent. But you got to have your Cosmos in there, and then potentially some AI exposure, but that would not be part of that. That would be a separate thing. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about the markets. There's not that much interesting going on. Some of you may have been aware that Optimism, which is a layer 2 scaling solution, they did a big airdrop. It's a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. I don't know where that company goes once Ethereum scales. Like when Ethereum goes to Ethereum 2 and Ethereum has scaled, I guess I just don't know why Optimism would be interesting. If your whole reason to exist is to scale Ethereum and Ethereum scales on their own, then what are you left? What say you? What say you? Ryan, any other thoughts? If you're not big in the crypto space, if you were going to buy crypto, just knowing what you know, I give you $100. What are you buying?
Let's see. I've always heard that you like Dogecoin.
No,
I'm totally joking.
No. I mean, what would you get right now? Just if someone was like, "This is your last $100. You can only put $100 into crypto." Ryan, what are you getting?
I would probably say either from what the very, very limited knowledge that I have, probably Cardano or Ethereum.
Okay, why not both? You have $100. You don't have to just choose
both?
one.
Yeah, I'd probably go both then.
You can go both.
Yeah.
You don't have to go one or the other. I did a funny little thing. I'm just going to throw it up. I don't know if you can see this. Let me know if you can see it. We were joking around yesterday about the $100 portfolio. Let me see if I can straighten that out. Can you guys see that? So we were joking around yesterday. We did this on my little YouTube show, and it took us about 10 minutes. But essentially the idea was if you had $100 and you were just buying infrastructure, how would you break it down? This would be the same as if it was in the back of a napkin. And in this case, we're at a bar that only caters to like engineers or like architects, because this is like blueprint paper. But the idea was $100. How would you invest? Now, this is not how you should invest. Okay. This just was a thought experiment in going through and saying, okay, these are the assets I'd be interested in. I have $100. How much of my $100 would that represent? And then what percentage of my portfolio? Now, again, this isn't the way you would do it. This is just the way you would kind of go through in your mind. Like, okay, I put like $25 here, $15 there, $10 there. And in doing that, you start to see how you've become your own kind of fund manager. And in the crypto space, we are all our own fund managers. And so you have to kind of take on that responsibility and kind of, and really buy into it, because no one is going to do the work for you. Also, no one's going to call you at 3 a.m. when your garbage token is melting to dust, right? So you want to own quality assets that you understand, that you believe in, so that you don't have to stress. And the final note there would be, don't borrow in crypto. If you want to borrow to put money into education, I'm all for it. You can rack those credit cards to the moon in order to learn stuff because that's going to shape your future. Do not borrow to invest. That's the dumbest thing you can ever do. Right? You shouldn't really borrow much. You do have to borrow to scale business and things like that. I mean, I think the last time I checked my Experian thing, I owed like 960 something thousand on car loans. But that's a business. It's not like I don't have like 40 cars in my backyard, right? So like I'm expanding, I'm taking on leverage to expand the business. But never on earth would I do that to invest. Please make sure you're not borrowing to invest. That is stupid. All right. That being said, I think we had some questions, did we not?
Yeah, we did. We can get into a couple Q&A here. First up is going to be member with a bunch of numbers. What do you think about MCP? Says its project works with both layer 1 and layer 2.
Never heard of it. I've never heard of it. I would be very careful that it's not, Panacea token. We do everything for everyone all the time. Buy our token. Make us rich. You are our exit liquidity. So I would say leave that one alone. Next question. Any idea when NEXO, I assume that's pronounced NEXO, will complete U.S. regulatory compliance? That's a good question. They would be the first one. They'd be the one to do it when Celsius couldn't, BlockFi couldn't, Abra really couldn't, and can't. Who knows? I like what they're doing. I like their bank. I've used them. I mean, it's what the banks of the futures will look like. The banks of the futures. That'd be mini futures, meaning mini futures would mean metaverse. Ooh, we just entered the metaverse. You guys all in the matrix. You guys know that.
Oh yeah.
Maybe absolutely. You don't know that. I know that.
Yeah, I absolutely know that.
We don't know. There's no way to know, but they're doing all the right things. They're communicating. They have a thoughtful approach. They realize regulators are important. They're not doing anything shenaniganly. Oh, by the way, public service announcement. If you're on Celsius, get your stuff off of Celsius. Like today, slowly, don't panic. Get your stuff off of Celsius. Period. Full stop. Do not leave it there. Do not stop go. Do not collect $200. Do not collect any more interest on there. Get your assets off of Celsius. They are pulling shenanigans. They are starting to get busted. They are starting to get exposed. They were heavily invested in Badger DAO, lost many hundreds of millions of currency units. They were heavily invested in Luna, lost many hundreds of millions of currency units. UST, many hundreds of millions of currency units, gone. See you later, bye. They also have been sending Ethereum to ghost accounts. Yeah, just to ghost accounts and making that Ethereum disappear from the platform, which is a little weird. Thousands of little ghost accounts get Ethereum every day that just goes away. Yeah, and they got some bad Israeli dudes that are linked directly to them that are involved in fraud situation, and it's bad news overseas. So just when you see that much smoke coming out of a building, if it's not on fire, it's because the gates of hell have opened up underneath it. Either way, get your stuff off of Celsius. The dudes are creeps. They've been creeps forever. It's just now we have like very clear validation that they are creeps. All right. Yes. Next question, if you will.
Fair enough. I know we were talking about this earlier. Will Near get a Coinbase effect?
There is no more Coinbase effect. That's kind of over with. The Coinbase effect used to be because there were so few tokens listed on Coinbase that when Coinbase would announce a new token, of course, they would internally go and trade it personally, and a bunch of people got good off of it, and they were always, unfortunately, other than Brian Armstrong, I think everybody else at Coinbase was making money on the side of Coinbase listings. Now, it's not that exciting. The Coinbase effect is not super interesting. It's not like it used to be where just the mere mention of a listing on Coinbase did all that much. It's the same thing with Binance. You know, these things, there's a little pump for a few hours, nothing material. So no, I don't think. What I think it will get is it will get the effect of market validation when Coinbase finally promotes it. But this is a Coinbase venture project. It's their Ethereum. By the way, Near is already light years ahead of Ethereum. It's already right now. All of the things that Ethereum is trying to accomplish, Near is right now this second. That's what they're doing. That's their functionality, their throughput, their cost, their transaction, like everything that's trying to be achieved, that Ethereum is endeavoring to achieve, is already right now active on Near this second, right now. So at some point, that argument's going to be made to the general public. And I am interested to see how that catches on. And Thunderstruck, real quick, AGIX token supply was $1 billion. This was many, many years ago. They raised it to $2 billion. There's a variety of reasons why they did that. They did that to expand the network, to increase funding, obviously, because they had made the decision where they were going to transition over and have Ethereum-based tokens and port to Cardano. And so this was all kind of slowly part of that lead up. But yeah, they expanded the token supply by 1 billion, and they did it to build a vibrant AI community, to be able to entice developers in the AI space, and to build all these verticals that they started building underneath Singularity Net. So yeah. And everybody, look, they put it to a vote. They didn't just do it. They put it to a vote to the community. They said, what do you think? And the people owning the tokens voted and said, yeah, do it. No big deal. So it wasn't like they just flipped a switch and said, there's more tokens. They asked the community, and the community said, cool. Okay. I think we have one more question. We've got time for one more.
Yeah, one more question from Crypto Karma. Hey, Nick, what are your thoughts on GALA?
Not that exciting. We've talked about GALA a few times. It's just not that exciting. Cool website, and the functionality is cool, but the stuff they're doing is just kind of weak. I mean, to me, just not exciting. It could be exciting to other people, so don't take my word for it. I'm not that excited about it. I have an account there, and I banged around a little bit, and I thought, oh, some of their NFTs look kind of okay. And I'm like, what am I doing? NFTs is just degenerate gambling. And I'm just not trying to be a degenerate gambler so much, especially when these markets look like the way they look. Oh, there is one thing we hadn't covered yet. The cereal. What did I use to extend the liquid content in my Frosted Flakes? Ryan, do you have a guess?
I was going to say the protein.
No, but that'd be too sweet and gross.
It'd probably be pretty grainy, yeah. You said it was Frosted Flakes, right?
Yeah, and they're already sweet.
I don't know.
You know I'm a frugal person.
It's water?
Nothing. Because I already had 2% milk. If you have 2% milk and you cut it with water, what do you even have? It's just water. You can't have freaking Frosted Flakes with Tony the Tiger. Show them what you can do. The taste of Tony's Frosted with water. No, that does not bring out the tiger in you.
So
that doesn't bring out
nothing. Super dry, cereal with that much milk in it.
And so what I tried to do is I put a plate over it, and I shook it so that maybe the milk would get caught up in the flakiness in some of the flakes, kind of like the rain. You have plants that are just made to absorb water. So some of the flakes, if they were convex on top, they would, but if they were concave facing upward, they would collect little bitty droplets of the 2% milk. And then, yeah, if you have 2% milk, the rest is basically water. Yeah. I didn't want more water to go with my cold water. So I just ate it dry. It was not so rewarding, if I'm being honest. And on that note, I must bid you adieu. I'm sure Ryan has better things to do. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't borrow money to buy crypto, man. And don't do anything my poor, insolvent drunk, strung out on meth grandmother wouldn't do. And as you know, that is very little. And I bid you a pew pew.